everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Iconis podcast. Always thank you for tuning in, and we're still going year 2 and getting closer to year 3. As always, you know who I am. I'm one of your hosts, Barry 3D. Dark, deep, dark, and delicious. You know how it is. You've heard it over 100 episodes, and I'm not going to stop. As always, if you want to find where I'm going to be, check out barry3d.com for any updates on this show where I'm performing live when I'm doing my live stand-up comedy, and all the people that tune in and give us some support. So thank you very much. As always, I can't do this show alone. No. And I won't do this show alone because why? I got my best friend. I got my cousin. I got my DJ. I got the man, the myth, the legend. He's all over. But who am I talking about? The one and only
DJ Rod C. Good day, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you meet me at this time. Welcome to Iconis. Okay, clear your throat. Let's focus. Listen, we got a great show for you today. Listen, you know what? I'm Rod C. That's Barry 3D. You know, we say it every other week, every other day, every hour. That's who we are. Welcome in. Okay, I've done my part.
Great. Good. So, very simple. So you can find me at barry3d.com. Rod, where can they find you and what are you up to, man?
Oh, you can find me, listen, on the World Wide Web. As I always say, you can find me on Instagram at Mr. Rod C. You can find me on twitch.tv/DJ Rod C. You can also find me on on the Tick and the Talk. The Tick and the Talk. You can find me on TikTok at DJ Rod C1. So there you are. Number 1. Yeah. That's it. You can find me there. Reach me out. Have fun. Shout you back. Let's have some fun. Let's go.
Let's do this. I'm still working with my camera. So look, everyone, I got a new computer, so bear with me on that one. I'm very happy about it, but I'm still figuring it all out, right? On top of that, I'm also part on Threads, right? So if you want to find Barry 3D on Threads, I'm on there. And also the Iconis podcast is on Threads from, through Instagram. It can be on every social media platform there is. Please like, subscribe, share, rate, and review. Each click helps us, and when you do that for us. So we really appreciate that. And before we get into our topics today, we got to do a round table. So first and foremost, we got to shout out the boys I like to roll with when we're doing comedy. We got some shows coming up. As I always say, keep your calendars close. Keep an eye on the calendar and postings. And that's a touch of gray matter. That is myself, Barry 3D, along with Zalf Ali and Dave Sokolowski. We look for us. We're going to be out there. We're doing our things individually, and we're doing our things together. Show's coming up soon. Keep an eye out for that. On top of that, too, always support the books because the books support us. So if you're out at a comic book store, you want to find one to go to. If you're out in the Kitchener area, you got to check out Wow Comics with Wes and the rest of the guys. Tell them we said hi. And for our fans over in Montreal, please reach out and go over to Check Swings on the South Shore. Tell Trevor and the rest of the guys we said hi. They support this show, and we definitely support them. Also, on another note, Brandy Ford, the writer and the witch, she's got her magazine. She's got, that she comes out every month, and she's got her radio station. I've been on one of her episodes. We're going back. So she's got that, throughout the week. Keep an eye out for that. Click the link down below. Support her and let her know that, you heard about her on the Iconis podcast. There's a lot of love to go around. Woo! And last but not least, we got to go down to the man that makes us look so pretty and has been there with us since day 1. Right? If you need to do what we need to do, here he goes. If you're watching this video on YouTube, and you can also listen to this video wherever you get your podcast from. And our hosting site that we use is, Podbean. So if you look up iconis.podbean.com, that's what we use for our hosting site. Check them out. If you want to start doing a podcast yourself, I think that's the best way to go. And if you need a logo, templates, and all the other stuff that we do, there's only one man to talk to. Rod, who am I talking about?
J Bird Digital Art.
J Bird Digital Arts, Mr. Jason Reese, thank you so much for all you do, all you've done, and all you will be doing, because we always reach out to you to get the work done. So there we go. And remember, if you mention that you heard about him here on the Iconis podcast, he'll give you a discount on any work that needs to be done. Come on now. Life is short. Let's keep it going. Love it. Hoo-ha. Got you all in check. Well, last week, I want to bust the rhymes on it. Last week, we talked about Dazzler. Not about magic. And we said, hey, why not? It's all about family, like Vin Diesel likes to say, right? So we are now going to stick with this other family group. Now, the matriarch is the Dazzler. Why? If we're going to talk about Dazzler, let's go down the family tree. And sometimes it wraps around, you'll see what I mean. So today's episode, we are talking about the one, the only, the icon is, who's the icon, Rod?
Shatterstar.
Shatterstar from, New Mutants, X-Force, X-Men, X-World, whatever. That's why I got my X-Men shirt on today. Rod's rocking his Marvel shirt. Here we go. It's all about Shatterstar, right? And why Shatterstar? Once again, why not? We talked about Rocket Racer a little while before, and that was brought to us by one of the guys I was talking back and forth with. So I hope that you enjoyed that episode. And everyone that supports it week after week after week after week. Patrice, thank you for always reaching out, and liking our videos. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. So here we are. We're getting down into Shatterstar. Now, who's Shatterstar? We'll learn today. Shatterstar made Shatterstar made his first appearance in issue number 99 of the New Mutants. Now, keep in mind, that's a long run there that we had there, and that was a transition period into something coming its way. So, in the end of that New Mutant run, we got introduced to Cable. We got introduced to Deadpool, right? We got introduced to Shatterstar. The team got a new dynamic because at this point, the X-Men were gone. The X-Mansion was destroyed. They were living in the lower levels of the X-Mansion where the training rooms were, the danger room, medical room, the bay for the Blackbird, because Cable knew how to get into all this stuff, and no one really questioned him at the time. He just knew. Nobody asked until later on. You found out that Cable was the son of, Cyclops, so that was history for him. But sticking with family, we talked about, Magic back then on a couple of episodes back, and the Rasputin family, and we're like, okay, well, they're powerful, but there's also other family members there, and Shatterstar is the one. So Shatterstar was, as I said, brought in by issue number 99 of New Mutants, created by Rob Liefeld. And of course, I missed my notes. This is what we do.
Fabian Nicieza.
There he goes. So Rob Liefeld and Fabian Nicieza turned around, created Shatterstar, as I said, issue number 99 of the New Mutants. And this is more of a recent creation. And I was very, very excited. And this was in March of 1991. So not that old like some of this other stuff we've talked about, but impactful. When I first saw Shatterstar, first of all, you look at him, you're like, where'd he come from? Mojo World. Do you know Longshot? Do you know Longshot? Okay.
Put a pin in that. We'll be
Put a pin in that. He came out and he had a white outfit with a tape on the side, a special kind of helmet. I'm not saying he was special, but a helmet that was special. So his hair was exposed. He had two swords. One sword had one blade. The other sword had dual blades on it. Right? Exactly. So it was he was like a Gillette Mach 3.
Nice.
Right. Come on. 3 blades, man. Gillette Mach 3 made for the cut. He wanted to get that close shave. And he was bred as a warrior. Now, he says he came from not Mojo World, but a Mojo verse. So a little bit of a difference. He mentioned, do you know Longshot? And you kind of, yeah, Longshot. Yeah, I know who he is. Yeah, I know who Longshot is. Yeah, don't worry about it, man. I know who Longshot is.
Next question. That's all.
Next question, please.
Next question.
Next question. So he was a genetically engineered humanoid. He had the hollow bones like Longshot, so that way it made him lighter. He was stronger, faster. He's almost like the Bionic Man. He has powers. So he was trained in the Gladiator pits. Picture the movie Gladiator with Russell Crowe. That's what he grew up in, right? From a young kid growing up in that, learning all different types of combat scenarios. He was also extremely smart. Like he was genetically engineered, so he picked up on languages and technology really quick, which was, would help his cause. Like he was bred as the ultimate warrior. No pun intended to Ultimate Warrior from WWF days, right? Okay, then all right. He had one, his left eye had like a star thing branded on top of it. And we didn't know much about him. He didn't speak much. He just came out. He said he was Ultimate Warrior. He's there. He was trying to come through to our dimension to recruit the X-Men to take them back to fight Mojo in that time period. What we learned is he's from Longshot's future by 100 years. So I don't know if time passed differently or whatever, but we'll explain what happened. So this is who, Shatterstar was. Now, when Shatterstar came in, Shatterstar was swing first, ask questions later. He was all about the honorable combat because he was raised in a gladiator environment. He didn't take low shots. He didn't take cheap shots on people. He fought as a true warrior. Looked younger than he was. So he looked like a teenager, but he was a little bit older. And people found him, of course, good looking, like they did his dad. Or as I say, his dad, because we talked about that in the Dazzler episode. But when I say put a pin in it, so he goes on, he joins them, and then the team changes. In issue 100, there's New Mutants final issue, and then we got issue 1, X-Force. And that was when Cannonball, and there was a change to Cannonball, being led by Cable. Boom Boom was on the team. Wolfsbane was it Wolfsbane? No, it wasn't Wolfsbane, it was Feral. Feral was on the team.
Feral, yep.
Yeah. Of course, Shatterstar. Richter was on the team. Sunspot was on the team. So, and they were almost the Black Ops version of anyone in the X-Men, out of the X teams. Like, Cable's logic is, hey, we know there's villains out there. Let's get them before they get us.
This is a straightforward general just basically saying, listen, I got no time to wait for the enemy to attack me. I know you're out there in the bushes. I'm coming for you. Don't worry about it. I'm coming for you. And I guess that's the best way of looking at it. X Factor was the Black Ops of X-Men. Because in reality, we all know Xavier's viewpoint was, the mission was to coexist with humans. X Factor.
Yeah. Cable didn't have that and that's where it fits in well, because, as I said, he took a ragtag bunch, put them together, and formed a unit. And where Xavier had the dream of coexisting, Cable came from a future where he was oppressed and he was fighting back. He was angry. He was fighting back, and didn't want mutants to go through that persecution. So the team that he had at this point, they were all fed up. The one who still had the ideals was Cannonball. But right away, Shatterstar is like, all right, you guys are the X-Men, but you guys willing to fight? And Cable says, look, you join our cause and we'll help you out down the road. And he was like, okay, cool, no problem, on it. And that's why he joined X-Force, because he was running away to find people to help him fight against Mojo. You got to deal with what you got to deal with. As the time goes on, there was other adventures, and I know you're gonna say, yeah, we've seen Shatterstar on the live screen, but even though in Deadpool 2, his role was and it wasn't Shatterstar. He looked like Shatterstar. He wouldn't be. Shatterstar wasn't that cocky, right? And then they killed him off pretty much right away.
100%.
Like Deadpool.
Yeah. You know what? Putting a pin in the part of him being cocky. Yeah. The Shatterstar was the ultimate warrior. When you think of a warrior in these times, you think back, you're thinking like a samurai. You're thinking of an assassin. You're thinking of a general person who speaks in order, who's just monotone and who's just very articulate to say right to the point what he says. I'm not saying more. I'm not saying less. Whatever words I said was enough for you to understand the job's going to be done. I don't have to say it twice. Don't make me have to say it twice. That's the mentality. That's the appearance and the imagery that Rob and Fabian put through to us with Shatterstar. And I took that completely straight. And I will agree that with the Deadpool 2 movie, he was very more cocky, very more sure of himself in that regard. But
right, exactly.
What Shatterstar that we know from Shatterstar knew what he can do. So he knew that he was a warrior. He was like we said it earlier. He was born and bred for combat. This is the type of individual this is the type of person you want as your second in command in that regard. With Cable, you'll have Shatterstar, stuff is getting done.
Yeah, exactly. That's where it came down to. So, I like that Shatterstar was a new character that was created. He was a more recent character, and the impression of the excitement that was all around Rob Liefeld doing a new book, X-Force. We've had our X Factors, we've had our X-Men, of course, the Gold and Blue team, and the fact that they were going to be a preemptive strike force in that, and that's how he led them. It was nice to have that. In the 90s, everything got edgy, right? WWE, wasn't WWF, it was WWE, was the Attitude Era. And that reflected in a lot of people's mentality. They wanted to see, the heroes and stories a lot more edgier. And DC did deliver. DC delivered, Marvel delivered, Image delivered. They gave us more of these. So this is pre-Image, but they gave us more of the edgier version of the characters we know. In that time frame we've gotten, and I don't quote me, but I mean that's where we got the Dark Knight Returns, and Batman got more edgier, and the Justice League got more edgier, and the X-Men, the same thing. So we were getting more edgier heroes, more, we as fans who grew up with the books, when we got older, we're like, oh, okay, we want to see our heroes mature. We want to see things a little bit more, not so much bubblegum. And Shatterstar fit that role. When he came through, of course, Rob Liefeld drew him with a lot of pouches. Cool with that. The look was awesome. Pouches were in. I just want to know what was in all those pouches. But as a warrior, you're going to be having a lot of things in there. Now, I don't know what was in his pouches, but it was all cool to me. His skill set, off the chain. When they drew, for example, the Extinction Executioner song, that storyline, and the X-Men and X-Factor were hunting down X-Force at the time because they believed that Cable tried to assassinate Charles Xavier, and Bishop and Wolverine kind of team up, and they're going down after X-Force, and they got to cross swords literally with Shatterstar. Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, we can't do this." He's like, "I got this." He didn't fear nobody.
Didn't hesitate.
No, he was ready for the fight. He always wanted to test his himself against Wolverine, right? Against Bishop, against those characters. So sticking with Shatterstar, that was it. And now he also has a power. So at one point, as the stories have gone on, there was very little known about the character. He's one of the he was an enigma. He was you could tell he was that archetype like Wolverine. He was a fighter. He was a warrior. He was almost a killer on there. No qualms about it. This is how he was raised. And this is a cool character, but you didn't know much about him. As time goes on, you learn more that at one point he's in a fight and he uses his sword, and I'm not sure where the power came from, where this energy blast comes from the sword. It was a light blast that comes out from the sword. You realize that was generated by him, channeled through his sword, and he used it. But he doesn't use it often because, one, he didn't see it as an honorable way to fight, and two, using the power drains him. But then his eye glows when it happened. And you're like, okay, I'm getting still feels from Longshot. So as time goes on, you realize that he distanced himself from emotion. And he was one of the earlier time leading up to it, one of the earliest LBGTQ plus characters we had, and polyamorous, meaning he was fine from where he came from to date a man, to date a woman, and date them both at the same time, and not in the sense of doing it behind anyone's back, but believing in that kind of free love. That's how he was raised. That's his beliefs. That's how the character was. So I think that was still ahead of its time for now. A lot of people looking back saying, well, we need to have more of these characters visible. He's right there. Mm-hmm. They countered that right away. So he was one of the earlier ones. And he had a relationship with Richter, and on almost an ongoing long-term relationship with Richter from New Mutants or X-Force or whatever you want to call it, join X-Men, and they're still around up to now, even though they're not together anymore. Interesting thing is, so I think one of the issues I liked is one that was drawn by Todd McFarlane, where Todd was doing the Spider-Man run, and they crossed over with X-Force. And you had to read the book sideways. And they were fighting, Juggernaut and Black Tom. Juggernaut shows up. First person that jumps into the fight, Shatterstar. No qualms about it. First person jumps in, Shatterstar. That boy crazy.
Let me at him, coach. Let me at him, coach.
Right? You're like, who wants to go in? Who wants to volunteer? Shatterstar's already running in.
Right.
So with that, sorry, go ahead, Rod.
No. I was just saying, it's just the envision of basically he comes to battle and he's not waiting for technically permission. He's not waiting to consider anything. While people are just taking a note to, let me assess the situation. He's already in, swords drawn, biohazard in, just going in and just taking people's lives out.
Biohazard. Wow. Laser Quest, here we come again. Wow.
Sorry.
Classic. That was his nickname. All right. So yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. So he goes through there. So let's get into the juice of the matter, right? We all know, and I said before, that we find out that about his sexuality. Then we also find out around the same time, or a little before that, that he, as I said, he's 100 years in the future from when Longshot was there. But then it gets really wonky because you find out you had this one guy named Rise, right? Or Reese, how you want to pronounce his name. People in Mojo's world, they didn't become with, they weren't born with skeletons. He worked on a way to give them ways so they can walk upright and move. They took over, and then they had the humanoids that were there that they would use as slave labor, and their whole world is based on entertainment, like way more so than us. That's all it is. So how you are, ruling your sector is because you have the highest ratings on Mojo Vision. If your ratings go down, you lose power, you're out. It's almost like reality TV today.
100%.
Uh-huh. Sure, yeah, right. So if CBS was in Mojo World with the, and I don't know, CTV and all that, they'd be battling for ratings, and there'd be a Mojo persona in those, and we'd be all just puppets for them, trying to get those ratings. So he's from 100 years in the future. So, this whole reason why I mentioned Reese, he turned around, and what's the story was, is you find out later on that, yes, Shatterstar is the son, the biological son of Longshot and Dazzler from the X-Men that we talked about last time. And I said at one point, and I'll correct myself. So I said, well, last time we talked about Dazzler, I said they went with that origin and they kind of changed it. Correction. He is a biological son of both of them. But at one point, there's a mission that they were on Mojo World and they're kind of digitized. So Cable and Shatterstar were there. They get digitized. They get put in like a program, like a video game, almost like figure a Tron situation in Mojo World. Shatterstar gets like mortally wounded. Spiral, who's like a magic user in that world, turns around, puts them back in their real bodies, brings them back to Earth, and then to help them recover, he meets up with a mutant who, when his powers developed, he was in a coma. And she kind of linked the two of them together, so Shatterstar can heal. And then what happened was their bodies physically merged. Now, we never know what Benjamin, that's the guy's name, his name is Benjamin. Benjamin, when his power manifested, he went into a coma. So we don't know what Benjamin's power is. What you could see from Shatterstar, it didn't change anything from him. But after that, Shatterstar was able to teleport. But he needed what you call an anchor. So he would have to know somebody, have a connection with somebody, and be able to know, kind of figure where they are, what they're looking at, and then teleport himself over to them. But he always had to do it outdoors. He couldn't do it inside of a building because it could cause explosions. Every time he teleported, it formed like a giant, so to speak. That portal that he would make was a form of an X, and he would go through. So that was the only thing we saw of it. Maybe there's more powers. They never really explored it. So once again, meat on the bone. With that, you see that, as I said, he's a biological kid of, Dazzler and Longshot. But he's also his own grandfather. Because there's a lot of mind wiping going back and forth here. So I'm not sure where Marvel was going with that. So sometimes I said I love a Marvel, and I'm sometimes like, huh? And this is one of those moments where I went, huh? Because, yeah, Shatterstar goes through. He's in that dimension. He comes to get the X-Men. He goes back. Then he gets kidnapped by Reese. Reese turns around and makes a clone of him. And that clone is Longshot. So then Shatterstar escapes. I know there's a pause. Shatterstar escapes, frees, Longshot, kind of wipes his memory, and then he sees, Longshot and Dazzler get together. Fine, he's there, part of that. He sees them during his time travel, because he's a time traveler in the Mojoverse, that Dazzler is giving birth to him. He's a grown man seeing himself being born by his mom, and she's like, oh my gosh. And he's like, yeah, mind wipes her. So she forgets that she's looking at her adult son while having that son as an infant and Longshot. And then, of course, he, travels back to his time. So this is why he's, goes back to 100 years in the future. So he really comes from the future to the present day, goes back in, gets kidnapped, gets cloned, which is his dad. So it's the clone that's made from him is Longshot. Longshot gets together with Dazzler, have Shatterstar. He comes in, sees it, helps birth himself, mind wipes his parents, and then travels back to the future with his younger self. So the story plays out. He almost makes his own circle. Like I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking is dun 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 dun. I'm thinking the original Terminator with Kyle Reese travels back, and yeah,
100%. 100%. The time continuum is completely warped at that particular point, and like, yeah, okay, cool. It's looking like Star Trek, having all the time agents coming out. Agent comes to like, no, don't do that, no. But
right, it's
thank you, Marvel.
They make their own. Before the TVA. Now we understand what the TVA is needed.
I was gonna get to that. Yeah, it's the time variant. Holy, hilarious.
I don't know. And I said, so so this is where I think what it lost me on was, okay, he's got to merge with this guy, Benjamin. And then you don't see what other powers he gets. And then that whole time loop that he's Longshot's, Longshot's cloned from him, but Longshot is his father. And then he takes the baby when he gets born, mind wipes his parents so they forget it, goes 100 years in the future so he can get raised to repeat it once again. It's like a vicious circle. Like I think a lot of elements remind me, I said, it reminded me of Terminator with Kyle Reese. It reminds me of Starhawk, the original member of Guardians of the Galaxy. The one who knows. And you always think, oh, well, why does he know? Does he have cosmic awareness? And he's like, and every time Starhawk's like, no, I don't have cosmic awareness. I know. How do you know? Don't worry about it. I know. And Starhawk would always know, Sakaar would always know where he needed to be. Why?
Right.
Because he was always reliving his life. So every time he got to a point in his life where his consciousness had to get projected back in the past, his mind was projected back to his younger self. So even though he was an infant, he had his thoughts and ideas and all his memories from his whole life as an adult. So everyone's like, hey, this kid looks like he has common sense. He looks like he knows something. And that kid like, yeah. I got to wait till 2:35 to remember to do this. I got to do this at 3:00 and do it. So this way he would never cause the events because he remembered everything. If you go back in the past and say, all right, you have to relive your day the exact same way without changing anything. He just had a great memory and just did everything. He knew where to show up, who was going to show up at a certain time. Like he would tell the Guardians, hey, man, we have to be on this planet at this time on this date. Why? Don't worry about it. Heed the word of the one who knows.
Right. You know what? I just had a mental flashback to show how old I am. Just thinking, I think it's Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure #2. The second one, when they had to go back in time and Bill had to make sure that he had the garbage out by a certain place so he can fall into it and move his dad's keys and whatever the case to be, so it can all fall into place. I'm like, Bill and Ted.
Yeah, exactly what it was. So that was the it's a mind, so to speak. It made my mind pop. But that's how it came down. That he went back. So he's a clone of his father, took himself in the future. So I said Terminator vibes, Starhawk vibes, Cable vibes. This is why I think him and Cable got along, because same thing with Cable, right? 100%. Cable was born as Nathan. His sister came from the future, took him years in the future to raise him because he had the technovirus. That's where he got raised. Strife got raised, and then he comes back and he's actually older than his biological father when he time travels, and that's when we get Cable. And he left as Nathan Summers and came back as Nathan Dayspring. Okay, all right, and then he's older than his dad, and he's even older than his grandfather, which is Corsair.
Hilarious.
Time travel hurts my head. Ouch. And he had to do things a certain way for it to play out. So when it went a certain way, and then of course when Nathan was in the future, there's a whole miniseries called Cyclops and Phoenix, but they went by the names of Slim and Red because they traveled to the future to raise Nathan for a little bit.
Yep.
All right, back to Shatterstar.
Just mind freeze. Oh, okay. A lot of jumping.
Back to Shatterstar.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Here's what I got to say about this, man. Love Shatterstar. That doesn't deter me at all. I think maybe it needs a little bit of clean up. I get what they're trying to do to a certain degree. I like the fact that, okay, as I stand corrected, that he is the biological son of Dazzler and Longshot. Can't is there more to it than that? And how they're writing him right now, how he started and how they're writing him. I mean, right now, currently he's the X-Men, he's on Kokora. He's a streaming star, right? Internet streaming star. And you don't see him with the swords anymore. He's just got a boots and a jacket and and shorts. And I'm okay. No, I want back more of the classic Shatterstar. Give me that. Give me back his original outfit. Some of the outfits he had after his original appearance, where he had the jacket in the black and white, I was like, okay, but I still want his original appearance. I think that really that stuck out for me. It wasn't broke. No need to change it. Not all change is good.
Yeah, I mean the look was giving me kind of like a Gambit type of look, type of scenario. But yeah, we already have Gambit, so we don't need two Gambits in retirement, So yeah, yeah, I would say for me, Shadowstar definitely is a character who, as you said, has meat on the bone. There's a lot of stuff that we can dig into on that, and we can just pull back the different layers. Just a story alone of his own upbringing, his connection to the Xavier world in that sense is priceless. I mean, you can definitely spin off from that. Seeing that he already came, as we said earlier, character was already brought to life in Deadpool 2. Yes, that character, I mean, that representation wasn't what we would have liked for Shatterstar. I would like to see him come in. If they ever decide to breathe life into a Cable spinoff of some sort, this is perfect as Deadpool was naming his team. Was it X Force or X Factor? Now I just went from now
he called it X Force.
You call it X Force, right? Right, perfect.
Yeah.
So he went X Force. So Cable comes in now and creates that. And we have a good enough team there that you have Cable, you have Domino, you bring Shatterstar right there. Listen, we put Deadpool on there, and just kind of like spin off from there. But anyway, I digress. I say
you're right. You're right.
But yeah, I was like Shatterstar could actually fit into this universe, and as we're expecting to see the reveal of Deadpool 3 and how he's going to, how now is going to merge the universes together. After that, perfect. It'll be the perfect time to try to bring him in. And
of course, because just because he's dead in one universe doesn't mean he's dead in another one.
That's exactly
even in the comic book, right? Shatterstar gets taken over to another world where his self is dead. Like the Shatterstar of that world is dead, but he's still alive. So we can go with that. So here's my thing. I know right now they're doing Deadpool 3. Deadpool 3 is supposed to be the introduction to the mutants into the Marvel universe, cinematic universe. This is what everyone's been waiting to see. We know that it's coming. We know certain people have been brought back. So we know, for example, Hugh Jackman was dressing in the yellow and blue Wolverine costume.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like it. We've been waiting a long time for it. Some fans don't like it. Some do. I'm on the one that I do like it. Give me at least that. I know a lot of them say you shouldn't come back after Logan, but keep in mind, this is now taking place before Logan. Right. It's going to be dealing with probably Deadpool bouncing back and forth through different realities. So one, I like that. We know Jennifer Garner is coming back playing Elektra. How big of a role is she going to have? Don't know, but she's playing Elektra. So I can see what they're trying to do is they're taking properties that Disney now owns and they're trying to solidify it into one timeline instead of like DC, who has Matt Reeves Batman and then Ben Affleck Batman and 89 Batman, all in different universes. No, put it in one. Let's keep it going. So good with that. So if they want to bring back Shatterstar, they can bring back Shatterstar. The only thing I would ask is the classic costume. Give me the original costume, not the one that the actor wore during the movie, which it's still based off his look, but I still want the original one.
Right.
Give me more of that whole storyline. Now, I know we talked last time a lot about Dazzler and how we can incorporate certain characters, what we'd like to see. If Dazzler had her own series, I still think Shatterstar would be great in a mini series. That's my 2 cents. If I had to go, with a couple of theories here, I'll say this: Shatterstar to me could be I can see Shatterstar as a cartoon. Give me like a one shot Marvel direct to video cartoon on Shatterstar about his life and from him growing up, because we don't get much of his backstory. We only hear it. But let's visualize some of that. Let's see who some of the key people were in his life growing up. And give me in the 3 chapters: one, young Shatterstar; two, in and out sometimes with X Factor and I'm sorry, X Force in the background. But see it from Shatterstar's perspective. Some maybe his memorable fights, and then bring him back to the future where he wraps up in chapter 3. You find out that he is, the son of Dazzler and Longshot. That Longshot is a clone of him. How he turned around and did that last battle with Ares, got his younger self, took his younger self to the future, and who he gave his younger self to train him in a certain way to kind of keep that loop going. And the beauty about this is, because of the TVA and Loki, you can actually bring the TVA in here to put it all together. So that's how I would like to see it. And then, of course, bring him back live action. Right? I think we need a Shatterstar. Once again, I've gone with this idea. Give me a Marvel's Presents. So if you put it under a Marvel's Presents, it's a one-shot thing. Give me a cartoon on Shatterstar. And then, do it that way. And of course, count on the key points, but it really has to focus at points with Longshot and Dazzler. That's what you said. What are you thinking there, Rod?
Listen, I'm thinking along the same line. To get the full effect of the actions that Shatterstar will bring to the screen, to me, he has to be animated. It has to be cartoon. It has to be animated in that regard. To be able to show the life and growing up as a warrior in a gladiator type form, being able to transport himself in time, fighting with the X-Men in the beginning, just to when he gets there beginning, then realizing, okay, you're worthy to come back to me, just making sure the history is right. You are worthy to go back in the future to help me with my issue. I want that character who's hollow boned, who is an ace acrobatic, who has the ability to just jump around, whatever the case be. As soon as he touches, is giving you, then it's going to start giving that anime, that manga type of visuals. That's what, to me, when I think of Shatterstar, I'm looking at that particular range. So that's what I would say. The Bleach, just throwing some anime out there, but that's the type of visual that I want. So give me a mini series on that as well,
like Ninja Scroll and stuff like that.
100%. Would I want a live? I think I would only want a live after the fact of doing the anime. The anime gives me the meat of what his history and everything like that. So when we alive, everybody already knows who is this guy, what's this all about. We can go back to the anime, and then we can get our full of all the information from there. So when we see him live, now we know he's going to be a second character on there, working off of someone else. I now have the ability to say, okay, I know what your skill set is. I know what you can do. And then you realize, okay, well, in live action, he may not be able to do all the acrobatics as I would like, but I know I already have seen it. So I'm not going to be, I know what to expect in the live action. But if it was only that, then I'd be like saying, I want to see more. You understand?
And they can still do it depending who they cast for it and all that. But I get what you're saying.
But the majority of stuff I want to see that.
Yeah. I don't want to take I'm still standing with how we want it. I wanted Dazzler to be. I think Shatterstar with enough would be, as I said, Marvel Presents, give me the cartoon. And I'm always about unifying. So the guy Hoover would play Shatterstar, maybe live action. So let's say when they do finally bring the X-Men over, and even if Shatterstar is in the background, it's a big X-Men event they're going to lead to. And I think bringing the X-Men over first is one big event, and then they have big storylines they can do for the X-Men. I'll have Shatterstar there. I mean, if Cable is there, Shatterstar can be there. Give me proper X-Force. Without Deadpool, we don't need Deadpool for X-Force. in X-Force, let's wait. You got
Okay.
Cable that's a time traveler. You got Shatterstar that's a time traveler. You can even slip in Bishop that we've talked about before, who's a time traveler, and then that can be looped in with a TV. So that's my 2 cents. Now, who would you want to see play the voice or be Shatterstar? Now, here's a question. Now we're gonna fan cast this.
Well, you know what? I wanna keep it unified in the sense that we recently have had uh someone to play the live action. So Louis Tan, he played the live action in Deadpool 2. All I would like to do is just for them to rewrite his character so he's portrayed differently. That's it. So don't come with the cocky type of attitude when he's speaking, but come with the militant type of warrior
Yes.
type. I would just leave it as Lewis because he's right there. Because basically, if you now come over, if we're gonna say now you're gonna be another multi-universe type of Shatterstar. Okay, great. Now the difference between the Deadpool movie one and this one, you'll see he's more of the warrior. We'll just keep him the same. It's the same actor. So I wouldn't mind him doing the voiceover. Just keep cutting the checks for him. Just have
Yep.
him. He's an actor, so I'm sure he could just be able to say, okay, I need you to be more militant in your speech pattern. I need you to be more of that type of individual to show commanding conversation that people basically won't second guess anytime you speak. You'd be like, but you know what? He has two
Let me let
blades
me, let me
and he's
check
glad.
myself before I wreck myself.
110%. Okay. Is that what we're
Nope.
gonna do?
Nope.
All right, cool. Walk away. Do what he says. Walk away.
Yeah.
Do what he says and walk away.
I'm from a town.
That's
Mess
it.
around and find out. Right. Exactly. And I agree
Mm,
with you 100% on this. So I know a lot of times we're not trying to cheap out on this one, but I agree with it. Lewis Tan, keep him as Shatterstar. He's got
yeah.
a martial arts background. He's already played the character. As I said, give him more of the militant side. And now, hear me out fully. Why keep him? Well, one, he was already cast as Shatterstar. He played Shatterstar. If we're taking someone from a different dimension, they will still look the same with
100%.
slight differences. The slight difference would be the costume and the color of
Mm-hmm.
hair. In Deadpool, they made it more red.
Red. Yep.
In when you bring him back, it should be more of a strawberry blonde or right. That's his hair color. It wasn't red like how they had it. So original costume, closer to his original hair color,
Mm-hmm.
same actor. That way, there's no, if you see someone's like, I'm Shatterstar from Earth, Mojoverse, this universe. Like if we have Earth 616, and you have
Right.
other people from different Earths, then fine. We lost Shatterstar of maybe the Earth that Deadpool comes from, but now him going and seeing
Mm-hmm.
Shatterstar at a different Earth, it's going
Right.
to be the same actor. There's no stretch the need for the imagination. It's not to say Shatterstar on one Earth is how he looks, and then Shatterstar on another Earth is a short, stocky black guy, or a tall ginger,
100%.
or Shatterstar is
100%.
a female. And I'm not
100%.
knocking it. I'm just saying that to me, that would be it. It's like, okay, when I saw the movie Kang, you saw different versions of Kang, but they were all generally portrayed by the same actor.
And the scenario I would say is the only reason you would think of doing that, changing the actor,
Mhm.
if the actor no longer who's saying I'm not acting anymore, if it's in the same time frame, or if it's from a character or a show that are years past. Well, you know what? You're not capable to do it now. We're going to have
Right.
to get another actor to replace, but he can still do it right now. So he's still in his prime that he can handle that
Absolutely. If you look at
completely. So
Lewis,
there's
if you
no
look up pictures of him right now, this man is cut. He's still young. He's a martial artist. He's still in shape. He's got the skill.
100%.
Go and I mean, come on, you're gonna go to him and say, hey, we're gonna give you a bigger part. We want you to do the voice of the character you played, and then we're gonna cast you in a live action, and we're gonna give you a bigger role than you had in the previous movie. Here's your
Yeah,
check. Okay.
100%.
He
Right.
didn't have a problem playing the character the first time, and he promoted the hell out of it that he was playing Shatterstar the first time. So this time
Right.
around, I think Lewis Tan would be all over that. I'm with it. That's my 2 cents.
Here's my 2 cents as well. We got 4 cents up in here, people.
Oh
Anybody
yeah,
got a
now by the
penny?
time we paid the
Let's make
tax
five.
on that, we left with a cent and a half.
Yeah, that's right.
Interest
That's
rates are
probably
going up, dude.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. Well, This one was a short one, but a sweet one. We wanted to talk about Shatterstar. We like it. Thank you very much for the creation of this. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. Sometimes they're long, sometimes they're short, and that's okay. And that's it. Shatterstar, you got to read the original issues that he showed up in. So go back, check out, X-Force. Sorry, check out New Mutants number 99, and New Mutants number 100, and then read the first 10 issues of X-Force with the original run I'm talking. And also get that crossover when it crossed over with Spider-Man when Todd McFarlane was doing it, because it started in one issue and then it crossed over into that issue of Spider-Man. So that was a two-parter with the Juggernaut of Black Tom Cassidy. And you find out more stuff there. I think that is priceless. The fact that, and of course you got to read the books where, Longshot, further in the future, and you find out more of that history. It's a little bit convoluted. Sometimes you go, but overall, this character needs a lot more. As Birdman would say, put some respect on his name.
Makes sense. There you go.
Any last words, Rod?
Listen, you know what? Appreciate everyone coming through. Listen, make sure that if you like what you hear, please make sure you hit like and subscribe in the appropriate areas and share it with your friends. Let everybody know that we're out here. Shatterstar is a great character. You can hear the passion. You can hear what we like about him. Hopefully you fell in love and you piqued your interest to go and, go to your local bookstore, find the comics, to read up on him, get some more info on him, and just fall in love with the character. You'll be pleasantly surprised and happy that you did. Yes.
Yeah. I would cosplay as him in a minute if I had his powers. All right, cool. Well, on that note, thank you everyone for tuning in. This has been the Iconist Podcast. This has been another episode. We got more coming back. I know I've kind of missed a week. We are going to make sure we're coming out weekly. Don't worry about it. I just kind of was having too much of a good time. On that note, my name is Barry 3D. As always, I'm sitting here with
Rod C. Let's go.
And we will see you next time. And on that note, remember, this whole world was made by a pencil, a piece of paper, and lots of imagination. Keep on dreaming. We out. Ninja rap. Okay, I'm done. All right.